Hello, and welcome to Tales from a Sex Store. I'm Hazel, and I'm here with my co host, Billy McWilliams.
Hello, hello.
Good morning, Billy. How are you?
Better I see your smiling face.
Oh, always lovely to see you every time.
Well, I'm just happy you're recovering from flooding your apartment yesterday.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I did. I flooded my apartment and it was a disaster. I actually live in a tiny little apartment, an SRO,
What's SRO?
single room only. It means I have my own sink, but I share a bathroom and a kitchen with the rest of the building.
In glorious San Francisco.
Inglorious San Francisco, yes. Inglorious or inglorious?
Well, that's up to you.
Yeah, I think it depends on which side of the political fence you're standing on.
Yeah,
It's glorious. I love San Francisco so much.
yeah.
But the flooding of the apartment was sort of like the cherry on the cake or icing on the cake, the cherry on the sundae.
Okay.
So I had
Whatever metaphor, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been on my period and I had just like an ADHD maelstrom hit me. I was all of the things all of the time, couldn't focus on one of them. And I was trying to do dishes while also cooking, while also video chatting with my mother and kind of trying to take it easy while sitting in bed and listening to my favorite podcast that I don't make, which is Midnight Burger.
What is it?
Midnight Burger
Okay.
by Joe Fisher and Finley Stevenson.
Shout out to that.
Absolutely, absolutely amazing. It's wonderful life lessons. It'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry, it'll make you feel connected to humanity as a whole, as well as your own humanity. It's an amazing show. It is also a full production audio drama. So, all of the post production that I do now has given me a deep appreciation for what Joe must go through because it's, the sounds of walking feet and opening and closing doors and like
Sure.
laser guns and things like that.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, it's so full audio production. And
Put a link in the show notes.
yeah, I will. I will definitely link to it. Oh my gosh, it's so heart touching. It's amazing. Anyway, so I was listening to their most recent podcast with my mom while I was trying to fill up the sink. My sink doesn't have a safety anti-flooding stop, like the little hole at the top of the sink.
You found that out?
I figured that out. Yeah. So also, I sleep on a futon mattress on a tatami mat so that my room is modular, right? So
Sure.
every day I roll my bed up
Uh-huh.
and it goes on top of my little cubby shelving system. And I fold the tatami up and it slides it to its little slot between two shelves and just fits there perfectly out of the way. And then I have an entire floor in which to do yoga or whatever. It's great. It feels very open at that point.
It sounds very organized.
Yeah, it's go gadget.
Yeah.
It's modular. It's a permanent camper. Everything kind of folds in and folds out. It's good.
I've noticed a lot of people, particularly of your generation, looking for more simple ways to live.
Mm.
Not big, huge houses and not a bunch of material stuff. Just really simple. Van life, say. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that that's optional for a lot of us. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Fruits of a fucked up system.
Yeah, there's a meme I saw yesterday, and it was a picture of this amazing hand-carved antique cabinetry, super ornate, just unbelievably gorgeous, right?
Uh-huh.
Probably weighed hundreds of pounds, and it was like, this is the furniture that was left to me by my grandparents, and then it was an IKEA cabinet, and this is the furniture I'm leaving to my grandkids.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't sustained taking care of our people. Anyway, this is getting political. Point being,
Yeah.
my bed was on the ground on the tatami mat and I flooded. And so,
She woke up to a wet bed.
well, yeah, woke up meaning I was awake for an hour and just not aware. I guess. I was doing too many things, so I spent the whole rest of yesterday airing things out. Anyway, hello and welcome to Tales from a Sex Store. My name is Hazel, and I'm here with my co-host, Billy McWilliams. Hi, Billy!
Hello, hello. Hey, I have an old story today.
Excellent.
This is about HIV,
Okay.
HIV and HIV prevention in Montana
Mhm.
in the 80s and 90s and of over 2000. So when I first started managing Miss Kitty's, which is the old style sex store, male-centric sex store in the same location where Erotique is now, I started managing in 1986. And in 1986, had these stories that were coming out of San Francisco and New York and LA about these gay men who have this disease that nobody knows about. And there was a lot of misinformation back then. It's not to the level that we have today, but it's still out there. They thought that poppers caused HIV, so they ended up confiscating them. And you didn't know how long it was going to go. And for the first time in recorded history, you could die from having sex.
Mm.
For example, in the 60s, right, they had the pill and gay rights and women's rights. And if you caught an STD, you would just take a pill or get an injection and you would be cured. So you could have all kinds of unsafe sex and there's no consequences, supposedly. Well, then HIV comes out and you can have sex and you can die. And it was spreading really rapidly. And since Miss Kitty's had the arcade, I thought, well, if this is happening, and arcades was where guys watch movies and masturbate and also hook up for gay sex. And those arcades became transmission devices for HIV in places. So I said, well, if society is causing this, if this is one of the vectors, then I need to be on top of it. You want to be responsible. So I started volunteering and getting on the board of the Southern Montana AIDS Coalition, which is a terrible name, SMAC.
The Southern Montana AIDS
Coalition, SMAC. Yeah.
Coalition.
Yeah, Southern Montana. Yeah. So we started working on HIV prevention. SMAC became AIDS Network. And that means giving out condoms. That means education material. And we ended up hiring an outreach worker to talk to the client, to the men having sex with men, which is a technical term in HIV prevention. So it's men who have gay sex but don't identify as gay. So MSM, men having sex with men.
Mm.
So unfortunately, we did a bad job of it, and the guy ended up trying to hook up with some of the men, and we ended up
Oh,
firing him.
wow.
But, it was the first outreach worker in Montana. But that was back in the Wild West when, again, you didn't know how to cure it, and the government wasn't doing anything about it. And you see people just falling off. And also, like, it outed a whole bunch of people
Oh, yeah.
because once you caught it, it's funny how they put somebody like Ryan White on a pedestal, deservedly, because they got it because they were hemophiliac. But all of a sudden, people who weren't outed were outed, and people had sex and they died. And it was miserable. It was a miserable time. The two things I think that I'm really proud of is there was an anti-gay institute at Montana State University. They were coming out of the closet day, and the gay rights organization that was called Lambda back then put closets on the mall of the campus for coming out of the closet day. And somebody put nooses in it and sprayed Nazi symbols. This stuff isn't new. We reached out and approached Judy Shepard. Judy Shepard was Matthew Shepard's mother. Matthew Shepard was the young man who was murdered in Laramie
Yeah.
in 1998. So she came to MSU on December 1st, 2001. I'll never forget it. And she spoke on her son's birthday, 3 years after he died.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it was a Trapegan Hall, and it was standing room only. Oh, yeah, actually, it was the chemistry building. it was, I'll never forget it because she talked about her son and the bigotry that caused him to be beaten and murdered and thrown up on a jackleg fence. It was incredibly emotional. And the next day, I was having lunch with her and I looked at her and I said, "Yeah, this isn't changing." And she's like, "Yeah, we're done. She's my age. But the young people," she pointed around her, "the young people are going to change everything." And so if you think about it, December 1st, 2001 to 2015, gay marriage,
Right.
the fastest social revolution that I can think of, and a model for ways of changing things. So because she did say, Bozeman is Laramie. That bigotry is still there.
Yeah.
And even though I think we're having a resurgence of homophobia and ignorance, that is nothing compared to what it was back then with HIV, just because of the hysteria. And the thing about it is, when everybody's in the closet and nobody's talking about the sexuality, you don't really know somebody who's gay because gay people weren't out. Well, they were, but not as normal as it is today. And so the second thing I think that was really profound for me was like, we were also part of the people who brought the quilt
Oh,
coming from San Francisco.
yeah.
And if people don't know what the quilt is, they should look it up because it's an amazing piece of art. Amazing. And what happened is they wanted to humanize the people who caught HIV and honor their friend in an artistic way. So they set up this structure where people would make a quilt of their friend who passed away from HIV, AIDS. And eventually there were tens of thousands of quilts, and they put them all up on the National Mall at the Capitol.
Mm.
And you don't really get it unless you see it and you walk and you see the people who live their lives and they just died. And
Yeah.
subsequently, they rolled that quilt out to other communities and we got it. And it wasn't just, it was a ritual. You roll them up in a certain way, you store them in a certain way, and then they shipped them to different places. And we opened it up at the field house, the big open air gym
Mm.
at MSU. And I mean, you just walk in and it's like, it's soul wrenching. It's just, especially because they included people from the area. So Montanans who died of HIV, they had quilts. And for me and for all the people I think who visited, it was incredibly humanizing because you could see the love and the care that people did. And this vast artwork is almost forgotten these days. But in terms of like communication, oh, I was so proud to be part of that. It's not that I was part of it. I didn't do any of the quilt. I didn't set it up, all none of that stuff. But I was part of the people who brought it here, and that was so rewarding because I think where we are today, we need to humanize people
Yes.
because I think there's a lot of dehumanization. What I really love is that art changes minds and ideas. And I think that's much more effective than railing against the other side and calling them names. It comes down to like a conversation I have almost every single time that I work is shame or embarrassment.
Right.
I don't know how many people they start off with this, I'm embarrassed to say this, or this is embarrassing. Very common.
Yeah.
And if they say it, there's all kinds of people who think it. I think that shame based sexuality is the norm,
Yeah.
and it is as much or more for men than women. Yeah, it was incredible. Just the depth of the pathos that we went through and ignoring people who are dying because they don't fit a certain person's ideas of what's right and wrong.
Right.
But sexuality is like the great normalizer. Everybody wants to be desired. Everybody wants to be desirable. And everybody wants to express their sexuality. Even asex people masturbate. And it's perfectly fine to be asex. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is kinda serious today, isn't it?
A little bit, but
A little bit.
it needs to be spoken.
Well, I think that sometimes when I talk to LGBT folks, they're like, "Who's Judy Shepard? Who's Matthew Shepard? And what's the quilt?" But I think that's just the nature of change, that, like, the next generation wants to burn down the stuff that the people did before them because they were wrong, you know, quote, unquote. And I think that's okay because I think change is uncomfortable for people. But I think sex is one of the biggest crucibles of change that you have because you end up being honest, right?
Right.
Hopefully. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully, at least in the moment,
Right.
but it can be a hard thing to face yourself if you're stuck.
It's a really hard thing to face yourself if you're stuck. And some people, I mean, some people come up and they say, "Oh, last week this guy came up and he's like, I travel from all around and I'm deliberately leaving out details. So again, privacy is really important. I travel around and my wife doesn't know that I'm into prostate stuff and she would never understand it. And I just do it and I throw it away. Yeah, the prostate toy, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, but he likes to do it and his wife doesn't, but it's something that he's really interested and compelled to do. And that's not an abnormal conversation. That is pretty normal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the prostate is it's a male pleasure center, it's
Yeah.
the G spot
Yeah.
under different circumstances.
I tell when I'm talking to folks about prostate stuff, I'm like, well, it's like stimulating the penis from the back and it's driving seminal fluid down to create urgencies for orgasms. And you're just stimulating more of the nerves that are down there.
Mhm.
Don't overthink what it is and what you like. What does it mean? It means you like it. That's it.
Right. Anything else is some sort of political overlay or social agreement that
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Funny
yeah.
enough, people who are into anal are anal. I mean, there's a reason why they say it. I mean, there's some guy who will have every single prostate toy we have, every single one, because they just like it. They just something they really gets them off really hard, which
Mhm.
that's what it's for. That's what it does. It's like there's different orgasm, just like a G spot orgasm.
Right.
It's just stimulations from a different way. But then I imagine his conversation with his wife is like, "This prostate stuff. Does that mean you're gay?" Uh, maybe, maybe not.
Right.
But it just means I like the way it feels.
Right.
And typically, the guys who do prostate are in their 30s and 20s, late 20s, because I think young men do not, because I think that has to do a lot with homophobia.
Right.
Who knows, though? I don't know. Maybe, but guys would get a little bit more comfortable and then they find they like it. And yeah,
Once they're self-assured enough for self-exploration.
exactly. And then they have this great orgasm and then they try to replicate it in all the different ways that you can because you really want a toy that, like, is able to stimulate both the prostate and the perineum.
Mhm.
And Eros has done a pretty good job of, like, developing a toy that does that. Even though they are very pricey, they tend to hit it in the right way. That innovation, I think, helped a lot because it's not this big, huge thing that could be uncomfortable for someone who's just trying it.
Right.
And it's also fairly rigid, so it's easy to do it. We should talk a little bit about the prostate. It's a little gland, and it is up and in the anus, closer to the penis, and with rhythmic stroking and pressure, it causes pressure for an orgasm.
Mm.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, it does, yeah, and it's, vagus nerve system, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Which goes right straight to the penis.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of women like to give their man pleasure, and sometimes manual stimulation is one way to do it because it turns them on to give their partner an explosive orgasm. And that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
But never underestimate what somebody will put up their ass.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
The wonderful and horrible things.
Wonderful and horrible things, yeah.
Always use a flared base, please.
Always use a fur base. Yeah. And patience and anal relaxant, lubrication.
Yes. The anus does not self-lubricate.
Yeah, exactly. That's why silicone is so good for that.
Mhm.
Yes, but depending on the toy. But then there's those stainless toys that work really well for pressure.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, those are great to enjoy stuff. Fantastic.
And then it's a conversation about material structure, right?
Right,
Stainless steel is gonna be smooth, non-porous, rigid, and holding temperature.
right.
So you can do temperature play,
Hot or cold.
hot or cold.
Yeah,
So you can do temperature play as well as directed pressure, but it's unforgiving.
right,
Similarly with glass, but it doesn't hold temperature quite as long.
right,
And then they're both non-porous and they're easy to sterilize.
right. And they're also good with silicone lube, which you can't use with silicone toys.
Yes.
Silicone toys are softer and they have ability to vibrate, which for prostate, I don't see a ton of people saying, I need it to vibrate. But you do have those ones that kind of give you the come hither thing, the little,
Right, the little flicky flick.
yeah, little flicky flicks. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. A woman told me this once. It's like, you know what? If he does anal stuff early, I'm completely turned off. I'm just not ready for it. But if I get close to orgasm,
Mm,
he does it, and I go off like a rocket.
right?
And I think that's a biological component of it. Right before you have an orgasm, the part of your brain that involves risk taking and impulse control, those biochemicals drop. You do or you think something sexy, naughty, dirty, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
And then that's when your brain is receptive and that's when you have an orgasm. So all of a sudden you introduce it at that time because you're ready for something risky to happen. And then something quote unquote risky, prostate play, anal play,
Right.
boom. Oh, this is so quote unquote wrong and right.
Mm. It feels so good, and it feels
It
so
feels
bad.
so good.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
The social rules go out the window as your body
Yeah.
is overcome with the feelings that it's experiencing.
Pleasure. Precisely. And then you have the orgasm. And then, of
Mhm.
course, those biochemicals go back up, and then you're like, post-nut clarity. What did I do?
Post-nut clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's someone said it was a post-refractory or something like that, but the thing about it is, it's like, that's when you have that moment of like, Did I do that? Ooh, did I think that? That's wrong."
Right? And there's the shame.
And that's the gist. That's what happens. Somebody wants to make you feel guilty by doing the very pleasurable thing that gave you an orgasm.
Right.
And so they say, "Oh, I know you're dirty." And you're like, "How did they know?"
Right.
Everybody does that. Otherwise, it's not sex.
Right.
We could clone ourselves. Risky is doing something you're not supposed to do. And that's why sexuality is always going to be controversial. And it's the agent of change. It's the don't have sex with that guy. Oh, now I want to have sex with that guy.
Right.
Yeah, this is wrong and right at the same time.
Yeah, it's that love across the tracks situation. It's the bad boy.
The bad boy. Yeah, exactly. That's genetic change. I think as we evolved on the fields of and savannas of Africa, there was all these different bands,
Mm,
and we wanted to make sure that we spread the gene pool and not stayed in group.
right.
And I think when they say, don't have sex with that guy in the tribe over there, I think you just went over and you had sex. Kind of like in Sex at Dawn, that great book. It
Mm,
describes that kind of thing, how we just evolved on the fields of Africa and we just pretty much casually had sex with people.
right. Yeah.
And it didn't mean, it just means, yeah. Now, sometimes you get an emotional connection. Sometimes you have a relationship. That's normal human social things. But sometimes you just have sex and go away.
Sometimes you just have sex. Exactly.
Yeah. And what does it mean?
It's the one night stand.
The one night stand. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
which I'm in support of, you know? There's something to be said about 2 people
Randomly finding each other, hooking up.
and negotiating something that is completely self-serving for both people equally.
Right. Right.
There's so few trades in sex, especially in short-term relationships, right? Where it's equal in the exchange, right?
Right.
In short-term relationships, it sometimes ends up that there is a power discrepancy of some kind, and that's why they end so swiftly.
Right.
But in one-night stands, everybody knows what's going on, hopefully.
I'm just here to have sex.
Yep.
Now, sometimes people are denuding themselves and maybe they want a longer term relationship or
Right,
who knows? Who knows?
right.
But I do think that, like, sometimes you just get so compelling and you just want to drag somebody home from the bar.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah. And then what does it mean? Well, it means you're horny, you want to have sex.
Right, and that person will do.
Yeah, exactly. And don't overthink it. You know,
Right,
don't think, oh, I'm a horrible human being. No, you're somebody who has physical desires that need to be quenched. And
right?
that's okay.
Leave your purity culture at the door.
Yeah. Why? Why? Why would you feel bad? Yeah. And it's almost never equal. There's always some sort of difference,
Mm.
but still.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Billy, for the conversation today.
Well, thanks for letting me reminisce. That was fun.
Yeah, that was great. Good talks.
It was really emotionally changing. Judy Shepard, my life changed forever that very second.
Yeah,
I was like, you know what? I will never let somebody say something bad about somebody else for the rest of my life.
yeah,
So somebody throws out an anti-gay thing or anti-trans thing or something like that. No longer do I sit there and just let it happen.
right,
I have to say something. But there's a way of saying it, correcting without confronting.
right,
And you do it in a way that says, I see you. Have you thought about it this way? That's a difference.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I was an English major, and one of my professors had us read the Laramie Project.
Ooh.
And it was amazing to watch people in that classroom wake up,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. She did an amazing job of humanizing Matthew
Mhm.
and understanding that there was huge problems, and there's still huge problems out there in terms of bigotry.
Yeah.
Bigotry and self-loathing and drug and alcohol and
Yes.
all of it. All of it. It's just a toxic mix of negativity that just drags everybody down.
It's the toxicity of that purity culture again,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Right. Well, because I think repression causes more problems than expression.
Exactly.
Yeah. And expression is joy, and joy is truth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as it's done healthily, which is why here we go back to age appropriate.
Comprehensive age appropriate sex education.
Mhm.
It just makes people healthier.
Right.
Yeah. And happier
And safer.
and safer. Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
things. It's all of the
Yeah.
good things.
Right. Right. And it should be just part of everybody's education, but it's
Right.
not. It's not. I see this every day. Every day I work.
Yeah.
People feeling guilty about being perfectly sexually normal.
Right. Well, thank you, Billy.
Oh, Hazel, big mental hug. You are so compassionate today.
Big mental hug.
Your compassion is one of your superpowers.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah. Always a pleasure. This has been Tales from a Sex Store. I'm Hazel, here with my co host, Billy.
Happy orgasms, everybody.
Happy orgasms.